New markets. So we're going to dig a bit more into the actual new markets, the opportunities that they bring, and some of the impacts that they might have on you and or other businesses in the area. So what are these new markets bringing? So again, just to give a little bit of a refresher, we're talking about those who lived here and still need access to goods and services, especially during such an anomalous time as the pandemic itself. Those who receive new supports and resources in order to live their life here, and what those resources could and should have been spent on and were spent on and continue to be. Those who have moved here, so those who have now actually made this region a place to call home, and we'll talk more about that group when we get into the new residents topic. Those who have visited long term, again, these are folks that weren't just here for a day or two, weren't here for a week, but were here for a month or more and continue to find that as a cycle that they may pursue going ahead. Those who have just found us, so the newly discovered fans of the Berkshires, and we've done a number of surveying pieces for these folks, and we've seen a lot of interesting intrigue and excitement and joy in coming to this region. And those seeking those authentic items and experiences. So each of these markets brings a different opportunity or a different need set that they kind of have in their back pocket. And here's just some very kind of quick bulleted ones. There's many more that come along with this, but just to kind of talk about a handful. So when we're talking about those who lived here and still needed access, one of the big things that we've seen is that the online no contact demand has increased and sustained. Even now, obviously with the pandemic restrictions being lifted and public health really being on a positive swing, restaurants and bars and folks like that are now opening and in full operations, and they're seeing great success even in just our first weekends. That being said, there is still a decent number in the population who are interested in that takeout, the more robust takeout that they and I noticed that my thing just said that my internet is unstable, so I hope that it's still working well. Kevin, give me a thumbs up or a nod. We're good? Okay, so I'm gonna keep going here. So that online and no contact demand piece is certainly something that is going to persist. We see it, at least a decent number of folks that have been here all along have been doing their grocery shopping using apps. They've been, purchasing items by calling or using websites and online sales. And we've seen a huge demand for the digital marketplaces to be more robust, even for small retail and smaller businesses. So that's a really important piece that is going to continue with our locals. Those receiving new support. So going back to that ability to buy products. And one example, and this is just one example that I'm going to put out there, is when students weren't able to necessarily get lunches through their school system, there was the EBT card program that was launched through a number of school districts. And one of the interesting aspects of that program is that those EBT cards could actually be utilized at farmers markets. Many of our farmers markets here in the Berkshires accepted those. And in fact, in some cases, multiplied the dollars that those cards were worth because of other programs that were implemented for healthy food access. So, farmers in the region were actually able to sell more product in some cases because access was given to folks who may not have found their products affordable prior. So that idea of increasing access by actually giving new and amplified resources to those who are here has a very important trickle through component to it. So the capital comes in through those specific lines and continues to migrate through our entire economic ecosystem. So those who have moved here, new products are being demanded, new experiences are being demanded. Like, these are folks that are looking for qualities that they found in their former home or abode that they want to see in the new place that they're calling home. Not changing the place that we know and love, but really looking for those items and opportunities that they are creature comforts that they want to find when they are here as well. Those who have visited long term, this is that hybrid visitor resident mentality. So one of the interesting things about this crowd is that they're not just looking for a novelty item that they can buy from a shop. They're not just looking for a place to eat once. They are looking for places that they want to go to regularly during their stay, the cafe that they can walk by every day while they're visiting for a month, and they actually can become something of a regular, right? The goods that they're purchasing are not just, the thing that they're going to take home with them, but they're also the items that they're going to utilize when they're here. They are looking for some of those home and garden purchases and opportunities, going and buying plants from a place so that they can have fresh flowers in the place that they're staying. All of those things that you may think are more of a resident demand. This hybrid visitor mentality is an interesting one that is definitely coming into play. Those who have just found us, I've mentioned the excitement that they bring with them. The Berkshires is an exciting place for folks that just discovered us, and they continue to really, they have a huge appetite for that Berkshire brand that we have all over the place here. And then with those seeking that authentic experience, the ability to capture and retain new customers through a rarefied experience. And by rarefied experience, I mean the thing that they can only get if they're here, or if they are in your business's portal or in your retail shop. They're really looking for what are those special qualities that make it special to do that here versus doing it in, another place like the Hudson Valley or in Pennsylvania or other areas that might have a rural cultural convergence that we cherish here in our backyard. So they really are, there's an opportunity to capture that audience and to retain them through your communication strategies, getting their emails so they're able to convey information to them, sales opportunities, things of that sort. But they are seeking the authentic, and it's important to maintain that authenticity as our businesses are changing and evolving. So several key areas just to put on your kind of headliner mark to be paying attention to. And these are things that many of our partners and stakeholders have been trying to support and address over the course of the pandemic and continue to do so. Making sure that your online, your business is accessible online. That's not to say that you have to have an entire marketplace, but let's say, for instance, you're a nail salon or a barbershop or more of a service industry type of thing, not necessarily retail, making sure that your prices are available online, making sure that they can book appointments with you online. That's an important piece. If you are a retail operation, definitely having some level of retail access in a virtual space. If you are an experientially based opportunity, so let's say something like an outdoor adventure park, videos that show what it's like to do that are important pieces. It makes the opportunity feel more tangible to folks, and then it has a gravity to it that they can then be attracted in to actually participate in that activity in real time, in real life. Search engine optimization, SEO, as most people will refer to it. If you're not an expert on SEO, don't worry. Most people are not. SEO has many levels of advanced integration into your websites, but it is an important piece because when there are so many different businesses going online, there is so much more competition for the attention of the visitor of your market that you're trying to tap into. So making sure that you're really capitalizing on the keywords and the topical areas that you provide is going to be important, and it's going to continue to be critical so that you're ending up at the top of anyone's search for the particular service or item or whatever that you provide. And then social media engagement. And I say engagement because it's not just a matter of having a social media site. It's not just a matter of having a Facebook page or a Twitter or an Instagram. It's actually a matter of engaging with your customers, with that market on there. And so that they continue to see it, the algorithm will speak and actually push your products and your services in front of them. So making sure that you're really maintaining a high level of engagement and having that not just be an afterthought, but have it be a fully baked in component of your new marketing, your new business planning. So the opportunities that I'm just going to put out here, again, this is not everything. This is just a sampling of things. One here is it's a great opportunity right now to be piloting and testing new targeting. So social media marketing has a lot of opportunities to actually target specific audiences. You can do geographic radius, you can do different age demographics. They do limit some of the narrowness that you can target in on, but one of the nice things is if you can look at any data that you have from how your marketing was working pre-pandemic with a local marketing campaign, you may see some shifts in what their wants, needs, and attractions are with the new residents, especially in those new markets that have come into play. So It's a great time right now to be doing some testing and some piloting and some tracking of how those things are working, because that's going to inform your practices going forward and how to best reach the markets that are going to be most high impact for your sales and your revenue going ahead. Maintaining a virtual and a physical presence at all times. And I know that can seem daunting, right? There are certainly some lower lift ways of maintaining this and some, heavier, more significant lift ways. But if you started to build a market with a customer base that now is not necessarily going to be here as often, you want them to be able to still purchase from you virtually. You don't want to just shut off that tool that you created. So you want to make sure that, yes, it's great that they can come into your shop when they're here, but you want them to be almost able to come into your shop when they're not here too. So making sure that you have that accessible to them on both the physical and the virtual landscape. This is just a fun one that I wanted to put out there. The power of TikTok is real. People have legitimately, or maybe not legitimately, but literally made millions of dollars just by creating TikTok content during the pandemic. And it's one of those things that, you never really know how a pandemic is going to drive audiences, but TikTok seems to be one of them. So, one thing that has seen a significant potential is showcasing your products and how to use them on TikTok. Providing educational opportunities through it, quick little videos, whether it's, how to make a specific thing or how to do a particular activity, and making them fun and entertaining. And the ability to go viral seems to be much stronger with TikTok than it ever has been with like a YouTube. Mostly because of the shortness of the content. But it's something to check into. And the nice thing is that we have an entire generation of youth that are so ingrained in the TikTok activity right now that you can probably find some really interesting feedback and content generation just from the younger folks that are around you, or those who, like myself, that sit in bed sometimes at night just looking at YouTube videos before falling asleep. Create hybrid opportunities. So this is one thing where we saw some really innovative approaches here in the region. One example that we'll give is Berkshire Paint and Sip. They were able to turn something that's normally you come into their space and you do this thing with them into something where you take a kit home and you do it virtually with them. You've also seen these with things like yoga classes and other, kind of wellness courses that, normally you're doing it all in a space together, but now you're doing it in your own home, but still within the community of folks that you had around you there. I think that it's important to note that you don't necessarily just want to get rid of those hybrid opportunities because the pandemic lift is occurring. It's an area where this is still an opportunity for a revenue stream. If it's not making you a ton of revenue, obviously don't put a ton of attention into it, but I wouldn't eliminate the access that this has given you. I know instructors, for instance, here locally who are now have people from California who are attending their classes. They would never be attending their classes if they were only in person. So is there an entire market that you could reach in a continued fashion, in a sustained way, by having these hybridized opportunities? And reinventing your brand by leveraging new resources that are now available. So when those resources are not necessarily just financial. Technical assistance is huge right now. And if you are someone who doesn't necessarily feel comfortable with any of the things that I'm just rambling on about, TikTok, for instance, if those are things that, SEO, if those are big, scary topics, the great thing is right now, technical assistance opportunities are on the incline here in the region. And we'll get into those a bit in one of the other sections. And then appreciate collaboration and cross-business engagement opportunities. I think one thing that the pandemic has really done when it comes to the different markets that we've tapped into is folks have realized that none of us are islands, and that there's always an opportunity to actually do better when working with others, especially when you start to network within your particular industry setting, but also as you are, really looking what can you do across different businesses and clusters? What can you actually do to engage those folks that go beyond your normal circle and your normal network?